back, everybody, to Camping Life with Tim. This video basically going to be like a park review of some of the campsites, some of the trails, things that you're able to do at this park. Where are we? Hey, we're at Lake Bob Sandlin State Park. Kind of northeast Texas. It's about 12 miles kind of southwest of Mount Pleasant on FM 21. The park, I mean, it's a decent size. It's about 640 acres, and it sits right there on the lake. I believe it's 9,000 acre lake, where you go boating, swimming, fishing, all kinds of water sports you can do out there. I'm going to give kind of, information on the campsites, pricing, what all it offers. If you come to the park, there is a $5, day fee to enter the park for adults. Children under 12 are free. And some of the things that you're able to do at the park, let's back up here. I mean, you can, there's like 75 campsites there. They got primitive campsites that you can hike back into. Now, we did like a drive-through to look at some of the campsites. And then, of course, we hike the trails to go back into the primitive campsites. And I'll go over a little bit more of that information, throughout the video. I do already have one video out. Yeah, it's kind of like a preview video, some little short clips of some of the things that we did, things that we were going to do. Did see a lot of wildlife, so this park is definitely abundant with wildlife. Even had some birds decide that they wanted to come join us at the cabin, and was able to video some of that. Also, I did notice 2 of the nights that, hey, I thought that lightning bugs or fireflies, however you want to call them, they were kind of extinct, but I guess out in the wild, they're still around. There were plenty of them. I did try to do video, to capture them, but I had issues there where the file corrupted when I went to download it onto my computer. Somehow it got thrown over into a deleted file, and I wasn't able to, put it back over where it needed to go to be able to edit it, to add to my video. So that didn't quite work out, but who knows? Maybe the next park I'll run into the same situation where there'll be, lightning bugs there that I'll be able to record. The park does have about 3.3 miles of trails, and yeah, they were pretty awesome. It's something I would recommend. Take your family, go spend a day at the park. Whether it's there at the day use area, where the kids can swim and you can have a cookout. Even hike some of the trails. But if you're into camping, hey, they got places where you can, bring your trailer or an RV or set up a tent. Excuse me. They even have screened-in shelters as well as cabins. Now, we were there for like 3 days, and we decided we were going to get us a cabin. Cabins are pretty decent. They're not real big, but they're spacious. Got 2 sets of bunk beds in there. Can sleep 4 people. It's got AC and heat. There is electric in there. The only thing I didn't like about it was they didn't have any type of table or chairs in there. So, in our video, the one day it was raining, so it would have been nice to have that inside where, we could have done a little bit of our cooking inside out of the rain. So, that was one kind of downfall I had there. Now, this park on the cabins does not have a microwave or a refrigerator. But hey, you go camping, a lot of times you don't have that anyhow. We were able to work around that, so that wasn't no big issue. Um, the park, like I say, it's about 640 acres, and the biking and hiking trails is 3.3 miles. Where you're out there just going through the wooded trails, being able to, check out the scenery, the different plant life, the trees, even get to come across some wildlife while you're out there, where there's deer, squirrels, armadillos, you know, pretty much any type of animal out there in the wild. And they don't seem to be too scared of humans, because we were able to get pretty close to a lot of them. Of course, they were kind of got the eyeball on us, make sure that we weren't going to sneak up on them, I guess. But, that was pretty cool. So, if you got kids, they're going to enjoy that. They do, let's go, I'm kind of going off of a site here to, get information. It's kind of hard when I go to these parks to memorize everything. Some of the trees that are in this park, there's a lot of oaks and hickory, pine, dogwood, redbud, and a lot of maples. Now they do say at fall time, being the maple trees, the park does get pretty colorful. If you're familiar with fall time and maple trees, the leaf colors, they change. Fishing is, they say it's real good. And, you got largemouth bass, catfish, crappie, and a few others in there. Now they do have regulations on how much that you can catch, so and the length as well on things like that. The park, I do know that let's see here, it was acquired back in 1979. Excuse me. And they opened the park in 1987, I believe. So, a lot of people do enjoy coming to this park. It is very beautiful. I will show a map layout of the park, the different areas, different campsites, and of course the prices and everything that's available, at these sites. Also, I will show the screen shelters, the cabins, and they even have a group site, which is basically a pavilion just right there off the lake, that if you have a group for like a family get together, or maybe a wedding reception or family reunion, the pavilion you can rent out for a larger group. And hey, one other thing I did see, it's kind of a historical, it was back in the early days, it was Fort Sherman, and they do have a historical cemetery right there in the park, right down there on the day use area. We did check that out. There are still a few headstones there, but it does have some other information on a plaque there, or a sign, telling you a little bit more about some of the people that were buried in there. And if I remember correctly, I think it said there was, I'm wanting to say possibly 49 people are buried in there, from the survey that they've done. Of course, there's not a lot of markers that are still left in there, I may be wrong on how many people are buried in there, but that information will be in one of the videos. Um, this video, like I say, is basically a drive-through and some information about the park, the pads, how big they are, if they're level or pretty flat, how big they are. That's basically what this video will be about. On the, like I said, the entrance fee, it was $5 for adults, children under 12 free. But if you have a park pass, whoever's in your vehicle with you, they're all going to get in free. There won't be no charge there. On campsites, there are 4 different sites. Let me pull out my sheet here. You got Fort Sherman campsite, Cherokee Terrace campsite, Broken Bow campsite, and Moccasin campsite. There's 4 sites there. Now, some of them that they're set up for, like, trailer RV, but there are some of them you can also put a tent in there instead. So that's kind of nice. Okay, let's see. On the campsites, like I say, there's 75 campsites. You're allowed 8 people per site, and it's $18 a night. What it has to offer, some of them have a shaded shelter, basically like a canopy or lean-to, where kind of set over the picnic table, but not all of them have that. There is a picnic table on a concrete slab. There is an outside water hookup, 30 amp breaker hookup, as well as 20 amp fire ring, and it has a grill. And there are some of the sites that also have a standing grill. The restrooms and showers, they're close by, dumpster where you can get rid of your trash, so that's all close by. On the primitive sites, it says that there are 16 sites there. Now, when we hike the trails, they do have an outhouse. They're kind of like 2 of them, 2 different sections on the trail, and they're approximately about a quarter to 1 mile to where you have to backpack or hike back in. The trail's pretty decent, so if you're using a wagon, I would at least make sure it had kind of the bigger tires on it, because I kind of made a mistake when I did a backpack back in one of the parks that was pretty rough, with a lot of roots and ruts and rocks that we had to go across, and I had the smaller wheel. That wagon didn't last very long, kind of bent the wheels up and everything. So got one that was a little bit better, had the bigger tires. So if you're going to use a wagon to backpack in, get one that has bigger tires on it. At the primitive sites, where they are, I was expecting to really see, like spots cleared out, like a lot of the parks where you have a spot, you set up camp, go a little bit farther, have another spot. But all I could see was like one pretty good sized spot where you could get a few tents in there. So I don't know whether they just not keeping it cleaned up or cleared out, for primitive campsites. But it says there's 16 sites in there, and I think there's 8 on one of the primitive sites and 8 on the other primitive sites. The restrooms don't have no water, no electricity, but they are decent. They're clean. But I will tell you, if you're going to go use one of them, you better take a light with you, because you go inside and close the door, you're going to be in the dark. It does have, it doesn't have any picnic tables or any water out there. That's why it's primitive. But another thing I didn't like about at this park, that you're not allowed any ground fires. A lot of the parks that have primitive, they will have a burn ring where you can have a fire, but this park forbids it. So, that's one little downfall that you have there. Okay, let's go to the screened-in shelters. Let me back up here. The primitive campsites are $10 a night. Okay, now we'll go to the screen shelters. They're $25 a night. Number of sites are 12. 8 people per site. The shelters, they have lights, 20 amp electricity outside. Also, there are no beds in there, no AC, no refrigerator, no picnic table or microwave or anything like that. But you can, get you a cot or blow up air mattress, where you can sleep, inside the screened-in shelter. They are about the same size as the cabins, so they are pretty spaces where you could, set up, I guess maybe 4 or 5, places to sleep on the inside. Picnic table outside, water outside. The screen-in shelters do have plexiglass windows that can be closed, and no pets are allowed pretty much anywhere that there is a structured building, whether it's a cabin, the office, the store, the restrooms, the shower houses. No pets are allowed in any of them. But you can have a pet here, but it has to be outside. You are allowed to set up a tent. No pop-up trailers, RVs, or anything like that, at the screened-in shelters, but you can set up a tent outside as well as sleep on the inside. If you do have a pet with you, you cannot leave it there at the campsite unattended, so that's kind of a no-no. You do have a picnic table on a concrete slab, outdoor grill, fire ring, and it says no pets, but from what I understand, you can have pets, you just can't have them inside the screened-in shelter, and that is $25 per night. On the cabins, there are 8 cabins, and that's what we did. We just got us a cabin because it was supposed to rain, which we did get a little bit, not what they were calling for, so it's pretty decent. At least, as hot as it was, I enjoyed every bit of that AC, so we slept pretty comfortable. It sleeps 5. It's got one queen size bed, and then the top bunk is a little bit smaller, probably a full size, and then the other bunk beds is 2 more full size. So, and then of course, I guess if you had a few more people, because it says you're allowed up to 8 people, you could throw an air mattress or something down there on the floor, and get a couple more in there. Let's see. Like I say, the cabins don't have refrigerators, microwaves, or table or chairs on the inside. That was the only downfall, about these cabins that I didn't like. Has AC unit with a heater for winter time, a picnic table outside on a slab, outdoor grill, or a standing outdoor grill, a fire ring, which you can cook on that as well. Water's outside, no pets. It's got the 2 sets of bunk beds. One bottom bunk is full size, and then the rest are smaller. Restrooms and showers are nearby. $40 a night, and yeah, that's pretty good price, even though you did have a few things that some of the cabins at other parks do have. Alright, on the group pavilion, you're allowed up to 75 people, and it has picnic tables, outdoor grill, water, and electricity. Nearby restrooms and showers, which they are pretty much just almost just cross over the path, and they are right there by the cemetery. It's $30 a day, to rent that. Okay, that pretty much covers that information there. Let me go here. Let's see if this is where I saw that. Yeah. The park was acquired in 1979 and opened its doors for the public in 1987. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess we'll just go ahead and kind of view over the maps, and then we'll go check out some of these campsites. Alright, kind of doing this the hard way, holding the camera, and of course it may not come up as clear as I'm hoping. It looks kind of blurry on my screen, but anyways, this is the park layout. When you come in off of FM 21 right here, this is your park entrance, where your park headquarters. You'll come through the gate right there. That's where you'll pay your entry fee, or it'll be free if you got your park pass. They do have a small store in there. Not a whole lot, but there are a few items that are in there. You come on out past the headquarters. If you make a right, you'll come on down around and down into the day use area down here. They got boat ramp, swim hole, places to fish, a lot of picnic tables so you can bring your family. Kids can swim, and you can have a cookout and enjoy the day down there. The pavilion is also down here right on the lake. Does have the historical cemetery here, and they do have a trail that comes off out of this area here, but we'll go over the trails here in a little bit. You come back up on out of the day use, and if you come in the park entrance, you make a left, you'll go back up around and back into the campsites. The first right, you'll take it down in, and that's where Fort Sherman camping area, as well as Cherokee Terrace camping area, is going to be located right there. And acting like my light's trying to quit on me here, starting to flicker, so I apologize about that. If you keep on going straight on in, you'll come back to the next campground area, which there are 2 sites in each area. Back here you'll have the Moccasin Track camp area. That's where the cabins are. That's where we stayed. Or you can go on back into the Broken Bow camping area. That's where your screened-in shelters are located. Of course, then it gives you kind of a legend of where the different things. They'll give you symbols, as well as on your map it'll show them symbols, so you'll be able to locate the different areas, whether it's the restrooms, the showers, primitive campsites, the sites that have electric and water, your dump stations, screened-in shelters, your cottages, your trails, biking trails, picnic areas, swimming, and so on, will all be on that sheet. Okay, now let's pull out the trails, and like I say, there are about 3.3 miles of trails there. Now down here in the bottom, where the day use area is, you got one trail is called the Lake Loop. It's 0.6 miles, which kind of loops around and comes right back out. But if you come on up You have a point of interest, which is Brim Pond, and you'll get to see that in the trail videos. But you can cut off of it and take the Brim Pond Trail, which will come back up where you'll cross back over the road that goes back to the campsites. There are a parking area there, so you can park there, hike back this way, or hike on up the Dogwood Trail way. When I did the trail hike, I actually started out up here at this point. There's another parking area where you can hike the Homestead Trail, which is 0.4 miles, just down and back. It goes to the Fort Sherman campground area, but we parked there and then hiked the Dogwood Trail to get back up to the primitive campsites that are back up in here. This trail, the Dogwood Trail, is 1.7 miles, and then of course you got a little short cut across, which is 0.3 miles. Now this was kind of interesting because I kind of got lost when I was hiking this trail. I didn't get lost, but I just took the wrong turn, let's put it that way, which you'll probably get a laugh at when you watch the videos. But, I took the trail, I hiked back up because I wanted to get up to Trout Pond to check it out, see if there was any good fishing that you could do up there. And it's a pretty nice little pond, but you'll see that in the videos. But you have the Dogwood Trail, which comes up and goes around. You got a primitive site here, or go on up around. You have another primitive site there. And then, of course, you'll come back down and all the way back down to this other parking area where the Brim Pond Trail is located. Now, they do have, like I say, down here in the day use area, they have 4 points of interest. Of course, one of them is the Brim Pond Trail up here, but you got the Brim Pond Trails down here. I'll take that back, and the Trout Pond is up there. Down here, you got the old historical cemetery. You also have a fishing pier down here, and then of course forward was the Trout Pond. Flip it over and it tells you a little information about the trails. The Lake Loop Trail, like I say, is 0.6 miles, takes about 30 minutes. It's an easy trail. I guess, kind of look for waterfowl that swim in down there, as well as you might catch a glimpse of a bald eagle that's been seen in that area. Brim Pond Trail, 0.3 miles, about a 20-minute hike, depending on whether you take your time and stop and kind of take in the views of nature and what all it has to offer. It's a moderate trail, pine trees, beautyberry, ferns, buckeye, grow with a lot of bird activity out there. I will say that, you could definitely hear a lot of birds. You didn't get to see a whole lot of them because they were up high in the tree, but I did see quite a few. Homestead Trail is 0.4 miles. It's about a 20-minute hike. It's easy. You got the Dogwood Trail, which is the longest trail there. It's 0.7 miles. Takes about an hour. But like I say, if you're just going to walk straight through, you're probably going to miss a lot of neat things that are out there. So take your time, stop every once in a while, kind of look around. Check out the different type of trees, the landscape, the bushes, flowers. You might get to see some deer, possibly a raccoon or armadillo. Definitely going to see some squirrels because there's a lot of squirrels there, a lot of deers there. It is an easy trail. And then, of course, you have the Dogwood Cutoff. If you don't want to walk the whole trail, it's 0.3 miles across it. So that kind of gives you an idea on those areas. Put my camera around here. I don't have it on the stand. I'm holding it in my hand, so it might be a little shaky. you know, kind of roughing it here on doing some of these videos. Hopefully I will, get set up a little bit better where I can do these a little bit better. Be able to get a little more organized in the information and how I, video or lay it out. There's so much to cover. I'm trying to get as much information, in there as I can, but I'm having to, basically read over it and talk about it as I'm going there. So, it may seem kind of, I guess, amateur in a way, which, yeah, probably is, but, doing my best here. So, hopefully you kind of bear with me and see if I can get that a little bit better. Anyways, if you're not a subscriber to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. Become a fan follower of the Camping Life with Tim. Smash that like button. It lets me know that the information I'm giving out is helpful to you. You enjoy going to these state parks, hiking the trails, camping out, or just spending the day with your family having a cookout. Also lets me know that hey, I'm doing all right being out there, especially hiking the trails at my age. But yeah, I'll take my time. It is interesting. Do have some funny things that happen while I'm doing these videos, so who knows, you might get a good laugh. I do have guests to go with me. A lot of times my daughter will go with me, some of her friends. A lot of times I go by myself. Sometimes I'll take my old killer dog that thinks it's a black panther out there to terrorize animals. But Boomer, she likes to go hiking on the trail, so you might see her in some of the videos. I do have some videos out of other parks, so be sure to go check those out with some of the information. Get to take a kind of look at some of the trails. If you're going to go hiking the trails, kind of gives you a head up, especially if you're going out there to ride a mountain bike. Sometimes it's good to know a little bit ahead of what kind of training you're fixing to get into. If there's any obstacle courses or places that you have to be a little more cautious so you don't crash. Those are kind of in there as well. Be sure to share with others. I'd love to have others, come and enjoy my videos, and who knows, maybe they'll take their family to a park. That would be awesome. And you might even get to run into me out there in one of these parks. That would be real cool as well. I guess let's just go ahead and do this drive-through and take a look at the parks, because I'm starting to trip out here from this light over here kind of flashing on and off, almost like I'm at a party with a, where those lights will kind of flash different colors and everything. So let's go ahead and hit the road here and see what the park has to offer and what it looks like.